Hello, everyone. I'm Leslie Cornwell with Midwifery Business Consultation. I have my good friend here with me, Madeline Murray from Believe in Midwifery. The topic we want to talk about today, hey, Madeline, has to do with sustaining midwifery. There's just so much going out in the world. We were joking. We don't want to go down the deep, dark rabbit hole of politics and evidence and standards. We just want to go on an overview of sustaining midwifery, supporting our communities, because I think midwives and women we're having a tough time with supporting our families, the kids not knowing if they're in school or not in school. And I mean, this is a historic time, and how do we get through it and thrive? So yeah, what do you want to talk about specifically with that? And we'll go from there, Madeline.
Well, I think one thing that we can say is that this whole thing has exposed some holes, I guess, in midwife support systems, which, you and I both knew that they were already there because we try to fill some of those holes in support systems. But, I think when this first hole started, it kind of looked like, oh, there's going to be this resurgence of midwifery because all these women are looking for home birth options and whatever. And unfortunately, it seems like it might end up being the opposite because it's been lasting so long and because there's been so much extra demand put on all of these home birth midwives. There's a lot of people who are kind of on like a fast track to burnout.
Mm-hmm. It's accelerated the opposite direction of our intention.
Right. And so that's what we want to talk about, right? Is like how to, when we are in the middle, I mean, this is an acute burnout possibility, a big problem. So we want to talk about, maybe give a few options for how to avoid it, at least get through this time. Like if we're on this kind of trajectory, let's see if we can make it this kind of trajectory just until we get through it all. And then we can refocus and try to get, through. But how are we going to help midwives survive right now?
Yeah. I thought it's either, to me, I keep thinking midwifery is going to survive, or it's going to thrive, or it's going to just die, because it worries me terribly that the demands are pushed to the limits. Home birth midwives were already waiting list busy. And now this internal guilt of us that, we want to keep them out of the hospital. We want to keep them safe. So now we're pushing our limits of what we can take because we love women so much. And there's not good structures. There's not a good business foundation. There's not good call systems. There's not good call coverage. So, it's accelerating the burnout drastically all over the country versus making more, because we can't get students overnight. We can't all of a sudden just have double the midwifery capacity. So, and it takes time to train a student. So on top of now want to train a partner, you now got triple the delivery list you had 6 months ago. I mean, it's tough. And how can we support midwives through this besides just giving down to earth, honest advice and having some time for TLC? I mean, you can't jump on a plane and go on vacation, but you have a park you can go to. You can take a weekend camping retreat and meditate and have some soul just resilience. There's just a lot of possibilities out there.
I think some things that's really important is to think about turning off other responsibilities. If what you want to do is serve as many women as possible and you don't want to turn people away, then you're going to have to turn something away, and if that means asking for more help from your significant other around the house, or asking your mom or your mother-in-law to do some things for you or take care of the kids or whatever. There's other responsibilities that you might have to let go of in order to.
We even joked about, like, we have the postpartum meal packs for our ladies. We need to reverse it, that we need the clients to do a postpartum meal for the midwives, like having, okay, you don't have to cook, you don't have to clean. Like, how can we reverse roles where, because midwives aren't good at it. You and I have talked about it in other conversations, but like, how can women, they want these midwives not to burn out. They want to help. We get questions all the time. So doing a reverse, support your midwife and help her with the little tasky, getting groceries or helping take your kids to an appointment or a little bit of break where they could be with some other kids. There's a lot of possibilities of supporting your midwives and knowing when to set some boundaries.
Yeah, so I think boundaries is a really important one. And that's another one that's been really sort of exposed. You know, when you have a few clients a month, you can get away with letting people kind of text you whenever and be lax about when your appointment times are and, you know, when people pay you and whatever else. But like when you have double the client load, even for a couple months in a row, you know, your phone is dinging constantly with people asking questions that aren't time sensitive. And so it might be a good time to think about, you know, making boundaries around phone calls and saying, you know, asking clients not to text you after 7 p.m. unless it's an emergency, or, you know, before 10 a.m. or not on Saturdays and Sundays or something like that, to sort of give yourself a little bit of reprieve from constantly being on for everyone. So some kind of boundaries like that. And then another thing that I think is important is messaging. Like, I don't think women who hire us, I don't think our clients understand what we're actually doing for them and how much of a demand it puts on ourselves and our families and our lifestyle to give them the kind of support and service that we give them. And so I think it's important to be honest about what that's like, because I think that women want to help. I think women love their midwives. And I think if they knew what kind of struggles we were going through, that they would be willing to help. So I think trying to figure out some sort of messaging, and I don't know if it would be a good idea to have it in your, you know, welcome packet or on your website as a blog or something, just to let people know the truth of how hard the lives are, again, in a positive way. I mean, I know you and I both, you know, we always sometimes sound like alarmists or negative Nancy's, like you said before, like, and that's not what we want to be. We just want to be truthful about what's going on so that we can be supported and support ourselves so that we can keep doing this work.
Yeah. Well, and I think this could be an opportunity to restructure, see who you have on for staff, what are their job descriptions, restructuring your processes in the office. And I mean, we had to do all of that with COVID anyways, of when you could see people and how often, what's essential. And we're still through this. I mean, it's not like, oh goodness, COVID is gone. And this is going to be our new norm with ups and down waves for the next 2 years. So how do we support midwives? How do we support these smaller private practices that are struggling? And I think are kind of, like you said, that burnout tail. And so having a practice etiquette form at the beginning, having on your check-in and on the wall, a new structure, a new philosophy that gives you, okay, I know I'm only going to get a call from 7 p.m. at night till 7 a.m. in the morning for birth stuff versus,
right,
can I take this? Is this safe at pregnancy? I mean, yeah, I mean, sometimes we just say, yeah, but when the volume starts adding up, it's an exponential growth of tired. When you wake up at 2 a.m. for something that's non-essential, you're still woke up. So right. Your sleep is important, and you have to respect that. You have to, and yeah, it's a different way of thinking.
And it doesn't say anything bad to clients who text us at 10 o'clock at night asking for whatever. Like, you know, they don't know unless we tell them that we need a break from that, you know? And so it's, because I think sometimes you can have midwives who are feeling a little bit of resentment to clients who are, you know, people who call all the time or text all the time about things and whatever. And it's like, because you respond to them, they think that you are available. And so they don't know that you're not unless you tell them. So I think it's just kind of reframing the messaging to yourself and to the clients about what's appropriate and inappropriate and acceptable and unacceptable to you. Mm-hmm. And then people will most often rise to the occasion.
Yeah. I'd love to go down the direction of the financial side, because it does make a lot of sense if you get busier and busier, especially if you're doing cash and their payment plans, the statements fall through the cracks, the invoices, they'll say, oh, I'll pay next week. And then you get busy and it's 6 weeks postpartum and you didn't even realize you didn't get paid yet. Or if it's insurance processing, a lot of insurance companies after 90 days, you can't send the claim anymore. I mean, from my personal experience, I got so busy. I was on that wheel. I was doing all this care, and no money was coming in anymore. I even got worse off than I was before getting busier. And so it's important to get systems, to get good policies, to have a good office manager, to have a good biller, a good person. If you're getting busier, find great experts to delegate to within your practice.
Delegating tasks. That's what I was just going to say. That's a super important one, and another hole that has been exposed, that people try to do it all. And, everyone can't do everything really well. And so it's important to find people who can do those things really well to allow you to do the things that you have to do and that you can do well.
Well, and I think it's a big shift. I'm finding there's two types of midwives out there. There's the ones that are frugal and I'm going to do everything myself because it costs X, Y, Z. But then there's the ones that are the business owner foundation and the pathway that they've trained. They've done a business plan. They've done a good foundation. I mean, not to say this is bad, but it's a different thought process. My time, how long would it take me to do that? If I hired somebody, my time has value. So it's a different thought process. And so I really try to challenge midwives to think like a business owner, because you are a business owner. You want your practice around long-term. You don't want to have disability. You don't want to be going and having mental health admissions because you couldn't support yourself. So your mastermind team, you want to have your experts, your accountants, your lawyers, your receptionist, your office manager, your birth assistant, your students, your team. Because if you try to do everything, that's not realistic. And then you're going to do 10% of a good job as if you would have just hired somebody and it took you 10 hours versus it would have taken that expert, especially with tech stuff. I mean, I've got a great tech person because I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, and I'm not going to waste my time for 4 hours trying to learn something somebody can show me in 10 minutes. So yes, You have to be your time is precious. And we talked about it in other conversations, being a mom and a midwife, like our most valuable asset is our time, and we have to restructure how we think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, lots of things to change. And so you don't have to change all of it at one time, because that can even feel overwhelming and send into burnout as well. Even if one of the things that we talked about today resonated with you, then start there. If that means turning off some responsibilities, if that means making some boundaries, if that means delegating some tasks, like one of those things is going to sound to you like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I need. And so start there. And then even starting a little bit, give one job away and see how that feels, what it frees up for you. And then you can go on from there.
Yeah, it's kind of like the analogy. You want to lose weight. You're not going to lose 100 pounds tomorrow. You're not going to go to the gym for 6 hours. You have to take baby steps to have long-term good habits created a little bit over time. So make goals for yourself, and that gives you empowerment. If you're feeling like there's no way out, make yourself a personal visualization board, some sort of, the next month, I'm going to drink water every day. I am going to get my 8 glasses of water every day. I am going to get 6 hours of sleep 5 nights a week, as long as I can control it. Like, put yourself some simple goals and then grow from there. But I think it gets so overwhelming and discouraging because we think, oh my gosh, I got to lose 100 pounds. That's going to take me 5 years and I might as well just give up. And I don't want midwives to do that. I want them to think, okay, and I've helped, and you've helped so many people. We connect with great midwives all over the country that I love it that when I start with them, they're feeling discouraged. They're about ready to close their practice. And we're 3-4 months into our bi-weekly conversations, and we're taking baby steps. If I threw every idea at them that I had for their practice, they'd have shut down the first week. But then I'm like, okay, I can see where you're at. Here's some strategies. And it's having that support person, whether it's a consultant like you and I, or having your mom or your sister or your husband, partner. You need a support system. You can't do it alone. I mean, I got a life coach 4 years ago. You have a coach as well. And those are very powerful tools for your mastermind group. It's not just the business side. It's your emotional and spiritual sides being supported as well.
Yeah. And I love that, what you were talking about, just drinking 8 glasses of water a day or getting sleep. Like, some piece of advice I heard a long time ago was making a difference between commitments and goals. And if you make a commitment, even if it's a small commitment, like drinking 8 glasses of water tomorrow, or even if it's something like, I'm going to take a bath tonight, like something that is good for you. If you tell yourself in your brain that I have made this commitment, and then you keep that commitment, that allows you to make a little bit harder commitment next time. And it gives you kind of this boost of like, oh, I can do things that I say I'm going to do, as opposed to, trying to say, I'm going to make boundaries and I'm going to delegate and I'm going to do this. And then you don't do any of it. And then your brain is like, oh crap, I'm worthless. I can't do anything. So making tiny little commitments that you tell yourself you're definitely going to do next week or definitely going to do tomorrow. And then when you do it, that's going to build your confidence to be able to make bigger, longer lasting changes in the future.
Well, and on that line, I have shifted a lot. Just our mental state, our mind is so powerful. It either, that glass ceiling effect of the success you can be, we all have the same hours in the day. And how can some people only accomplish a little bit and other people can do so much in that same amount of time? And it's our mindset. It's that rewiring. When we talk about the sky's the limit, but also having those little shifts of like, when people tell me I don't have time, because I used to say it all the time and I still slip up. It's like, I didn't make it a priority today. I need to direct accountability for the choices I'm making. If this is important enough to me, I will do it. And so whenever we say we don't have enough time, there's really an underlining avoidance that's happening. And so once we play these mental games and we start just getting internal, like every day, and what is important to me today, what is important in life, like just figuring out little baby steps. Like I like that idea of just a bath. I mean, I'd be like, oh, I'm so tired. I'd love a bath, but I'm too tired. Like, go take a 10-15 minute bath or exercise. Like people say, oh, I'm just too tired and exhausted. And it's a cyclical effect. Mind's going to think better. You're going to have more energy throughout the day. It'll give you more time by spending that 10-15 minutes and going for a brisk walk. And so we have to start somewhere.
Right. And yeah. And like I said, if you do it one time, then it'll make it easier for you to do it tomorrow.
Yeah. Habits and routines. Like as midwives, we're pretty adaptable as far as like birth, but I don't think we're very adaptable in our personal lives because we feel like we need something structured. We need something.
Some sense of control for
like
sure.
Shaking and unstable in our work life. And now we have to do it in baby steps. And we have to show it's a positive experience. It's not, you can control. You don't know when the baby's going to come, but you can control to a degree, being a mom, you try to make goals for what time the bath will be, but you
normally have at least 15 minutes for a bath at some point during the day or 15 minutes for a walk at some point during the day.
Yeah. So, nope, I think getting creative, using our time valuably. Like I used to love reading books. So when I was like, I don't have time. So now driving on home visits or driving out and about, audiobooks. So I haven't listened to the radio in years. So it's like getting creative with this time we have and what do we want out of it? And so,
and what we don't want to do is scroll social media all day. So that's a really big, that's a pro tip from me. Don't look at
it's avoidance. Phone. That's a major 101. I don't like the life I'm living in, so I'm going to join somebody else's little world for a while. And there's other coping mechanisms that are out there. So,
and if you want to look at social media for a while, then you can do it when you're in your 15-minute bath.
Yeah, exactly. So I have shifted from those games because they're fun. I'm like, oh, I'm stimulating my brain. I'm like, my time's too valuable for this game. Like you don't deserve it. Like that's the shift. It's the shift of like this 15-20 minutes I would have wasted on you. I'm going to go spend it with my kids. I'm going to go read a book. I'm going to do something that's for me and what I want, not for you. So,
and for my ultimate goals and for what I'm actually trying to accomplish, not for just a few minutes of. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So no, I think I really want us to sustain midwifery. I think we've got a lot of great opportunities in the future. This has really opened the eyes to a lot of consumers that would have never considered midwives out of hospital birth. And so, there's an increased demand, but then it's putting an increased pressure on the already the midwifery model
Pressure.
that was already pushed. Yeah, the pressure on top of the pressure. And so I want us to have students, I want us to have good, strong foundations. And I think you're on the exact same page that I am, that we as a team want to support midwives, but it's got to start from the bottom and work slowly up. You get a good business foundation, you get good self-care, and you know where you want to be, not next week, but in time, and we'll help you get there. So yeah, I'm excited to have you on with me, Madeline. Is there anything else you think we should add as advice or tips for midwives or just wannabe midwives out there?
No, I mean, I think we asked a lot of questions in this and offered a few different, areas to start exploring in your own practices. And I think that just having these conversations and opening people's eyes up to what the problems are is a good way to start, hopefully having more conversations and coming up with solutions.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Madeline, for your time. You go get back to that cute little baby of yours.
I will. I can hear her cooing in the other room.
Oh, how fun. Go snuggle her. Have a great day, Madeline.
You too. See ya.